Hello and welcome to this special bonus episode of The Dairy Edge. Teagasc are running a weekly Let's Talk Dairy webinar series, which is also being made available as a podcast. On this week's webinar, Stuart Childs is joined by Zerlina Pratt to discuss selective breeding for enhanced genetic gain and better beef at Kildalton College.
As part of Breeding Week that we're covering this week, Zerlina Pratt, who's the dairy lecturer in Teagasc in Kildalton, is going to talk about selectivity and how she's been using it in the last number of years in the herd in Kildalton to improve breeding in the dairy herd and also improve the quality of the beef stock that they're generating. And actually, it's just by chance that a report came out from ICBF yesterday that's they're setting a new benchmark target for dairy beef calves of 200-day weight. And they found that the better quality genetic calves are 10 kilos heavier than their cohorts, will say, on the basis of the scheme that was in place with the department last year for weighing of dairy beef. So better genetics is resulting in heavier carcasses at earlier ages. And obviously, Zerlina will be able to comment on this because they've been doing this for a while at Kildalton and they've been following through on their stock. These stock are grading better and they're also killing out maybe at younger ages, which is an important piece from a carbon efficiency point of view. But I suppose initially from a dairy point of view, obviously we're going to look at how Zerlina's kind of picking her cows in terms of the ones that she is going to breed to have replacements for the college herd, and then the beef choices after that then subsequently. So Zerlina has a few slides that she's just going to show there, and then we'll have I suppose a bit of a chat as we go along, and by all means put in questions as we go. So thanks Zerlina for joining us.
Thanks Stuart. I'll just share my screen. Okay, I suppose I'll just take you through where we started. I came into the dairy unit, I suppose, in 2019, and James Ryan would have been there before me. So when I came in, it was all dairy AI up until then. And we have a lot of Jersey crossbreds in the herd as well. We would have crossed a lot of Jersey in the last couple of years. So we were just looking at the effect of kind of that Jersey crossbred bull calf and, finding a kind of a saleable home for them. I decided to go down the route of trying some beef AI in the herd. So I started that in 2020. And I suppose, look, it was just to try and, number one is to try and add value to that kind of Jersey crossbred, bull calf. We obviously have a lot of students coming through the college here every year, and we wanted to look at that sustainability aspect as well with calves coming through. And you'd hear all the stories of calves and no value to calves, and especially that type of calf as well. So it was just to demonstrate to students as well the option of maybe using a little bit of beef AI, not saying converting to the majority of cows going to beef AI, but certainly a few of them, and on certain cows. And we'd highlight that to students as well, like this, not every cow gets a beef straw here in the college, and there's a reason for that. I decided to kind of pull out the later born replacement heifer calves and have calves that are coming on stream from kind of March onwards, that they'd all be beef calves. I suppose, look, for us here, it works for us because there's a beef unit on the farm as well. So we've the beef unit here that take a lot of our beef calves. So students will see them born on the dairy unit as a crossbred beef calf, and then they travel through to finishing. So they'd certainly, feedback from them is very good, that they're happy with the beef cross calves that are coming through to them and the finishing weights and things of those. Now I don't actually have the figures on them, but I can certainly get them afterwards. But it works for us. It probably, look, it's not going to work for every single farm out there, but certainly for us, because we have the beef unit on the farm, we are finishing a lot of those animals ourselves. So it kind of suits us. What I do when it comes to this time of year, certainly about a month or two ago, there's two kind of protocols that we have in the dairy unit. Number one is I want to select out the highest EBI cows for dairy AI, and that's obviously to improve EBI. So at the moment, our herd's at an EBI of €197. And look, we're always trying to improve that every single year. But we don't breed all the cows to dairy AI from the get-go. We actually breed some of our cows to beef AI from the get-go because they're lower EBI. I don't really want replacements from those cows either. So, and because we have the beef unit, they're going to finish a lot of our calves as well. So last year, for example, we had 63 cows that were used for first serve. There were a couple of them that came to a second serve that we served to a dairy AI straw. So top EBI bulls across the board. and we had 26 heifers that we used as well for dairy AI in the first and second serve. So those 26 heifers, 24 of them went in calf to dairy AI, and on the third serve, I actually put them, anything that repeated, I put the last two that came back on that third serve, I actually put them to beef. I put them to an Angus bull because I didn't want potentially heifers born that late in the season. So I cancelled that out by breeding them to beef. Some people probably say that's madness, but it's just the system that I went with last year. So of those 63 cows and 26 heifers, we have 33 replacement heifers on the ground born this year. So like we're happy with that. We selected out those 63 cows. They're the highest EBI cows that we had in the herd. So we just said, out of those plus the heifers, we get our reserve of about 30 calves is what we were looking for, and to be able to select out of. So we achieved that this year, and we were happy enough with it. So we'll do something slightly similar this year. The only thing we're doing different is those heifers that we have served this year are actually going to use sex semen on those for the first time, and we'll probably have a lower number of cows then that will be served dairy AI this year. So for example, those cows that we have this year going to dairy AI, they're probably of an EBI of about, I think I checked them last time, it's about 215 upwards. And anything lower than that then will get beef from the start. The second thing then is all our low EBI cows. So last year we had about 54 cows that went from the very start. So we start breeding here with those beef AI straws from about the 9th of April. It depends if they're kind of a longer gestation bull, they might be a little bit earlier. Our main season kind of starts on the 19th of April, which is quite early, but we're an early kind of system here. But we selected out those 54 cows from the very start that they get beef AI. And the majority of those are reared on the beef unit. And they could be, we have kind of different breeds. We'd have Belgian Blues, Limousins, Angus. We tried Albrecht this year as well for the first time. So there's kind of, and that's really a student aspect as well, to show them different breeds and how they kind of get on through the season, like, and up to finishing. So just to, I suppose, show you what we're getting on the ground. On the left there is a little Belgian Blue that we had out of, we only actually really use one Belgian Blue just because it's an easier calving. We wouldn't put that type of straw on a smaller cow, because some of our cows are quite small, they are quite Jersey cross, but we'd leave the BBs and the Limousins to bigger cows. So that guy on the left, there was probably about 10 cows got Belgian Blue last year. And on the right is our Limousin calf. So he would have been out of EBY. So the other side of it for us as well is we actually breed about 25 of our cows to EBY, and that's been brought across in the beef unit. They're looking for replacement heifers on their unit. So it kind of works for us as well in that sense. Like, it's not just all about finishing. They actually take any replacement heifers that are out of EBY, they want them for the herd as well, for their own suckler herd. So we'd always breed 25 cows at the very start of the season to EBY, and then we get our reserve or replacement heifers that go into the suckler herd. So it kind of works out for them as well. And this guy is just out of LM 2014. He's 2 days old there. So it's just, and look, we'd have other breeds as well on the farm, but as far as it goes for us, like, it's different. And it isn't for everybody. But we feel that we're improving our genetic gain. Like, our EBI was 166 in 2019. We're up at 197. Our heifers, we're happy with the dairy heifers that we have, and any of those lower EBI cows are just getting beef from the start. And look, some people might say, oh, you're going to have serious problems with calving. They're bigger, beef bulls. We had one slightly difficult calving this year, no C-sections. They seem to be absolutely fine, like, but I guess that's kind of on selection of the type of bull that you're using as well, and we'd be conscious of gestation period as well on the cows that are going to beef as well.
So do the Limousins, we'll say EBOI, I'm not actually familiar with the figures in terms of gestation length, but generally Limousins tend to carry a bit of time. So are they the ones that you're using a little bit earlier? So
yeah, like even EBY, to be fair to him, a very, very popular bull. He doesn't actually have too much of an extension to his gestation. That's probably why he's so popular on the dairy side. But I would always ask the beef unit here in about January, February time, look, what do you want for your replacements this year? And they came back to us this year and said, another 20-25 cows put in calf to get their reserves of replacement. So that's coming from their side. They want EBY. He's proven the last couple of years, never had a problem calving that bull, and gestation isn't overly extended, and the same with LM 2014. But yeah, we're very, very critical on that too, because the limousines do tend to kind of carry a bit further, but they're the only two limousines we would have used this year, kind of on that criteria.
A very circular economy operating in Kildalton, so
exactly.
And I suppose the benefit for the suckler herd obviously is that they have very early calves again there, like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, it's we start breeding those EBY calves just because the suckler unit actually here is very early breeding and calving, so we kind of have to match them at the same time to get those replacements, fit for breeding. Yeah. So we do tend to breed those EBY calves from about the 9th of April, so we'll start them fairly soon. And we'll only do that for the first just until we get that first 25 cows bred to EBY, and then we'll stop it then after that. So they won't be cows that will keep breeding Limousin on into June. We kind of cut it off, because otherwise, like last year we finished up calving on the 28th of March. So it's just to keep it as compact for us as well, not have them strain on into April and that kind of thing as well.
So like you said there, that you start, you're starting to breed now maybe now on the 9th of April, we'll say, like you're just a couple of weeks ahead of everyone else, I suppose. So, but you're still doing it, you're calving that bit earlier, but you're also finished earlier, so that you're starting your AI and you're doing everything in your blocks all the time.
Exactly.
Just on the figures there, Zerlina, like we'll say in terms of the EBI that you're talking about for the cows that you're going to breed this year, at 215 of an average EBI there for as in your cutoff point, you're like 60, you're 75 euros ahead of the national average EBI there. That's a really, really high cutoff point from your perspective. Would you, if you weren't feeding the beef unit and the suckler unit there, would you consider breeding more of the stock, we'll say, because you have such a high genetic merit potential within the herd as potential saleable replacements, or what's your thinking on it?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, look, we are slightly different here because it's an education centre and objectives are slightly different. But if it was me and I had an EBI of 197 at home and I had cows at that high in EBI, I probably would be breeding more of those cows to AI or to dairy AI, because look, there is a big market out there, and it is a very high EBI as well. So we probably would have a slightly different agenda if it was me at home now doing it. I probably would breed more of the dairy to those kind of cows.
And again, I suppose, like in the conversations that we were having earlier, like a kind of controversial question to ask you, but is it nearly a waste of some of the dairy genetics within the country of Ireland, we'll say, that you are breeding some of these to beef, like, and will you change, we'll say, I know this is your first year now with the sixth semen, we'll say, but is there, if it goes well, is there an opportunity maybe to run some sort of a replacement sale enterprise out of it as well, or is it something that you're not going to look at at all, or what's your thinking on it?
Yeah, I think so. We would have previously, when we were all dairy AI before, we would have previously sold kind of bull and heifers, and look, we've worked hard in the last couple of years to keep that EBI going up, and it's probably, like, it is a good story to tell. But it might be an option for this year. We might pull back a little bit on how critical we are with the cows and actually breed a little bit more and have, a couple of calves that we could sell as a surplus. And even talking to some of the dairy specialists, they did say that, said, look, if you were thinking of breeding a few more of those high EBI cows, like, there is a market there for them. I suppose it's just where it suits our system, but it's an option. It's even an option for this year, is to breed a few more of those cows and sell those as surplus heifer calves, because they probably are going to be like very high EBI for for other farms as well.
Yeah. And just then in terms of the selection of the bulls for the beef unit, we'll say, are the lads dictating what you're going to use? Or I know they've obviously said that they want more of the EBYs and so forth, but when for the beef unit itself, we'll say, where the dairy beef stock, have you sole control over what you're picking there, or the lads?
Yeah. To be fair to the lads on the beef unit, other than EBY, they kind of give me free rein to to do what I want. So I'm looking at, well, calving difficulty is a big one for us, because they're a different sort of cow, that kind of Jersey cross, for a lot of them. And then it's just like, we tried Aubrac this year as well, found them kind of soft enough kind of calves, but that was just on a student kind of initiative, to be showing them different bull cows or beef cows that can come off those cows, and Angus's as well. Like, we always get on really well with the Angus's as well. So it's kind of up to me really what I select, like, and I would look at the DBI to kind of pick out some of those bulls, but then there's obviously preference for ourselves. If a bull has done well the year before, we'll probably use him again, like, and we've had really good success with one or two of the Angus's over the years, and it hasn't really changed. Like, he's still killing out quite well in that, so we're happy enough, like, with them.
Yeah, and in terms of, I suppose, the big challenge that we would have, Zerlina, at a commercial level, is probably people wanting to, or we'll say they'll use beef, but they're just pushing, in terms of, you mentioned the DBI there, they're tending to go towards the calving ease piece, and they're forgetting about the beef element of it. Now, that's a key focus for you, because you're feeding into your beef unit, but we'll say, like, higher carcass weights from bulls that you're using, beef AI bulls that you're using, aren't causing you problems in terms of calving difficulty. So by using the index that's there, you're able to get an easy calving on time, relatively speaking, depending on the breed, obviously. And these are maturing into fine beef stock then on the beef unit.
Yeah, like, I found that, look, I think every dairy farmer has this focus on, keeping the gestation nice and short and calving difficulty, but like, that's why we look at the DBI, because it's grand and saying, and I've seen a couple of breeds over the years, and a couple of bulls in particular, and they might calve really easily, and the cow nearly sneezes them out, and they're short gestation. But sure, what use is that when the beef enterprise manager comes racing up the stairs to me and says, that bull turned out to be an absolute disaster for carcass weight and that. So we have to look at that, like, and we have to make sure that, although our parameters on the dairy unit is, we don't want calves on into April and really long gestations, and we don't want to have to get the side door option with C-sections, that we do have to look at the beef element too. And like, there is a case there for plenty of bulls out there that are nice, short gestation, easy calving. Like I said, we only had one tough calving this year, but it still wasn't a C-section. And they're still turning out to be, good on the beef end for carcass weights and that as well. So it can be done, like, with that kind of a system, and kind of looking through. You do have to study the DBI, like, you have to look through it. What do you want out of it? Some people have preferences for certain breeds and things, but you do have to look through it with a good look at it. But it can be done, like, all those parameters from the dairy and the beef side can be met, like.
Yeah, I suppose that's the key point to get across to people, is like, that you can achieve that calving ease but still have a fine calf. And then again, you said it there that you're also picking some of the cows, so the Belgian Blues are only going on to those bigger cows. So there's that balancing act to be done as well. So you've a bull selected that, okay, they're not necessarily hard calving, but the dam that you're going to put them onto, you're being conscious of that animal as well, that what's their ability to calve that animal subsequently, or that calf subsequently as well. Just another question then, in terms of the bull selection piece, would say, are you using Gene Ireland straws, or do you just pick out of the catalogues only, or it's just a question that has come in there in terms of a kind of a cost control piece around AI this year. We'll say, obviously, Gene Ireland would be that bit cheaper rather than buying out of the catalogue. What's your thinking in relation to Gene Ireland? Are you picking very clearly on your own merits, like?
Up to now, it has been just picking out of the catalogue, and I will be quite critical, like, with what we're picking, and sometimes maybe that's it doesn't go down too well. But yeah, up to now, we haven't actually done anything with Gene Ireland or anything, but we've just been picking out of the catalogue, like, so far.
Okay, so I suppose just an answer to the question that's been asked in relation to cost control, I think you could do what's been suggested, is to pick the catalogues, to pick the high EBI bulls out of the catalogue for heifers for 2 rounds, Gene Ireland bulls on highest EBI cows, and then beef for every other serve. In terms of cost control, yeah, look, it's going to work, but in reality, I would say that cost control in relation to AI it's only going to be a couple of €100 one way or the other. And they're the building blocks of the future. Like, and Zerlina can show the progression that they've made in the last couple of years in terms of being really selective in her breeding. I'm not knocking Jean Ireland there now at all. I think that it has a role to play, because maybe whether it may not play a role for you, Zerlina, from the point of view that your EBI is so high, it may not, depending on what you're trying to improve within the herd, not knowing what you're going to get at this stage, because you'll probably nearly be started your EBI or your dairy breeding soon. Maybe a bit of an issue for you, but in general, those Jean Ireland straws are going to be very high merit, and where used appropriately can bring a herd forward as well. And they are obviously cheaper, but at the same time, I think it's a false economy maybe to try saving in terms of breeding too much. I would say being penny wise and pound foolish almost in terms of investment in genetics, because those genetics that you land on the ground next year are the genetics that you're going to be milking for the next 6-7 years following the calving the year after. And you need to make sure that they're as good as possible, and you also need to make sure that they're appropriate for your herd. So you've kind of indicated that there's Zerlina, that from the point of view where you want the herd to go, the dairy herd to go, that you like to have the control of what you're going to use in order to generate those replacements. You mentioned that you're going to use Selective there this year, so it's only on the heifers, I think, is it?
Yeah, only on the heifers. We had this discussion last Friday. The colleges get together and discuss kind of different topics on each of the college farms. So like there was discussion about, look, it's our first year ever doing this. Hopefully it goes well for us. I hope it does. We're gonna just go with the first kind of couple of days of just natural AI, and everybody has their own different plans of fixed time AI and that, but we'll probably just go with the first couple of days, give them an injection. We did do a CEDAR protocol just with conventional dairy AI last year, just because they're on an outblock, and it kind of suited us, but it just didn't work well at all. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out, and we always had good results with breeding the cows for the first couple of days and then injecting them before. So we're just going to go back to that again, and breed those heifers for one round with sexed semen, and then go back to conventional dairy AI for the second service. They come back around, and see how it goes for us this year, say.
Okay, so that's very good. So as I said, you've your criteria set out very early on. You're obviously starting breeding that bit earlier, so you're ahead of the game in that sense. And have you the scope to carry those extra replacements on the farm anyway, if you were to generate more of them? Yeah, not really, I suppose, is
it? It's probably tight enough. Look, we've done it up to about August with calves, but really and truly by then we need to be selling them on at that stage. We took on another block of ground in 2020, and that was where we moved the heifers up there. Found that CEDAR protocol, it just didn't work for us, having to go up there and check heifers twice a day, and that we just said this year we're bringing them back to the main block. So we probably have room for some of those surplus heifers, but we certainly wouldn't want a massive influx of them, or we get very tight on supply.
I suppose that's highlighting it's an important consideration for people as well, that if they do have high EBI herds, that they are considering this, that they'd nearly want to be kind of maybe having the conversations with people to make sure they have outlets for them in advance of generating the stock, rather than generating the stock and then looking for the outlet for them and then maybe being left with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So look, that was great, Zerlina. Thanks very much for coming on and talking to us today. And the photos actually really paint a nice picture, to be fair to you, in terms of the potential, I suppose. And I think the other thing is the fantastic situation there is the fact that you can, because you're not using a beef bull, you're using varied beef AI, that you have multiple different breeds coming through. And as I said, from a college perspective, it's a great example of the different performance levels and also being able to follow through those performance levels. And for people that were involved in the dairy beef program last year, there will be reports available on your ICBF accounts in the next couple of days, summarising kind of your weighing system from last year and how the different calves have performed. And I'm sure you'll be all very surprised when you look at it to see how some of the good quality beef bulls that you might think that you have are performing relative to some of the AI bred stock that might be on the farm. So I just said, wish you all the best for the coming week, and thanks a million, Zerlina, for coming on, and look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
That's all for this week's Let's Talk Dairy webinar series. And don't forget to look out for more bonus episodes each week. I'll be back with our usual Dairy Edge interview on Monday, so do listen in then. I'm Emma Louise Coffey, and thanks for listening.